Hi everyone, my name's Rod College and I'm a Business Intelligence Principal Consultant with StrataDB, a Microsoft partner based in Brisbane. Today I'm really excited to be able to share with you some of the Microsoft tools that can be used as part of a business intelligence solution in the education sector. StrataDB are involved in a number of projects in the education space at the moment, and these are some of the tools that we're using. So what I'd like to do for this presentation today is to take you through some of these tools and how they can be used to visualize business intelligence, specifically in the education space. So without further ado, let's jump into our first demo, which is using a PerformancePoint services dashboard through SharePoint 2010. So the first thing to point out here with our PerformancePoint dashboard here is that all of this information can be surfaced through a browser simply with a Silverlight control. There's no third-party tools or additional things to install. If you have a browser with a SharePoint with a Silverlight plugin, then you can visualize PerformancePoint dashboards. Now this is a NAPLAN solution, so a couple of things to point out. We've got some filters at the top here for year and for test year level, and we've got three graphs here. So the number of students below NMS, the percentage of students below NMS as a trend across a number of years, and a NAPLAN scorecard there as well. So we'll just walk through those graphs one by one. The first one here, number of students below national minimum standard. So I can see that for all strands with the exception of grammar and punctuation, I have a single student, and grammar and punctuation has three particular students. One of the things I can do is add additional measures to this graph very easily. So let's say, for example, in addition to the number of students below NMS, I also want to visualize the percentage of students as they fall into a particular achievement band. So let's right click here, choose select measures, percentage of students in band 6, and click on OK. And we can see that that graph has been dynamically redrawn to include now not only the number of students below the NMS, but the percentage of students in band 6. The graph down the bottom here is the percentage of students below the national minimum standard as a trend across a number of years. So I've got 2008, 2009, 2010 as a downwards trend for numeracy, so that's good. The number of students below NMS is reducing. Similar result for spelling, and some of the other strands have mixed success. The other graph over here, we've got NAPLAN scorecard. So this is where PerformancePoint solutions really excel in their ability to produce scorecards like this. So just running through this briefly, the first thing to notice is that we've got different coloured dots here. So a red dot is where performance is greater than 5% below the particular area that we're comparing to. Yellow is where it's on par or up to 5% below, and green is on par or better. So just to look through this in more detail, so for example for grammar and punctuation for year 3 for the demo school, our average score there was 387, which was 6% below the group average of 413, 3% below the Queensland average of 398, and 7% below the national average of 417. So using these red dots here, I'm able to spot at a glance areas of concern. What I can now do is drill into areas of interest. So let's decompose this number here to discover some more detail behind that number. And we'll do that by using something called decomposition tree. So what I can do now is decompose that number by different attributes. So let's first of all decompose by gender. So I can see that females had an average score of 420, significantly better than males of 363. Let's decompose male by the class that they're in within year 3. So I've got 344 as an average score in 3S and 410 as an average score in 2-3D. We'll decompose 3S further, all the way down to the individual student. So demo data here, so we've taken out the actual names of the students and replaced them with student 1 through to student 13. So at the top here with 2 students performing well, they scored 490 all the way through to the bottom there with an actual score of 26 for grammar and punctuation. So again, the ability to start at a high level and to drill into areas of interest. So that's a very simple example with some of the things that we can do using a PerformancePoint scorecard. The next thing I wanted to show you was something called Project Crescent. Now Project Crescent is a brand new tool coming out in SQL Server Denali next year, and using it we're going to be able to do something that we haven't been able to do in any other reporting tool to date in the Microsoft BI stack, and that's basically animate data. So what we're looking at here is a simple example. On the y-axis here we've got the number of days absent, so again this is a NAPLAN example. On the x-axis we've got the scale score, And the actual series here are the individual schools represented by the dots. And you notice that I've got the scale score in something here called size. So the size of the dot is based on the scale score. So the higher the scale score, the larger the dot. And we can see back here, the smaller the dot, the smaller scale score. The other thing to point out, and this is the crucial thing for Project Crescent, is the play axis here. So on the play axis we've placed something called year. So what I can do down the bottom here is you'll notice 2008, 2009 through to 2011. I can click on that and just drag that back over previous years, and you'll notice two things happening there. The first thing is these dots are moving around as I move the year back, and secondly the watermark here for the year name is changing. Now what I can do here is click on play, and what you'll notice is that for these two schools here, School B and School A, when I click play you'll see the difference in their relationships with the number of days absent and the sum of the scale score. So let's click play and see what happens there. So this school here, as the number of days absent goes up, the scale score goes down, and this school over here, as the number of days absent goes down, the scale score goes up. So for the first time we're able to use a tool like this to see data in a completely different way. And one of the important things to note about Project Crescent is that it's not meant to replace any of the existing tools, so Report Builder, Reporting Services, PerformancePoint, which we just looked at, not meant to replace any of those tools. This is a brand new complementary tool. And the critical thing, as we saw, is the ability to animate data over time, to see how the relationships between certain data elements are impacted over time. Now the other demo that I just wanted to show today was something called Pivot. Now there's been all sorts of interesting uses for this tool in the last couple of years, and what I wanted to show you today was an education example. So what I'm looking at here is a view of all of the students in my class, and again this is a NAPLAN example. So as a teacher I can see all of the students in my class. You can see that a couple of things here. First of all, the faces are pixelated for the demo, and secondly each of the students is repeated multiple times. Now what I'm going to do is come over here and filter this data for the numeracy strand. So what I'm now seeing is each student in my class, and I'm looking at each of their results for the numeracy strand. Now in the sort box here I can sort on all sorts of different things, so I can sort on the parent's education. What I'm going to do is sort on something called achievement band. So this is the achievement band for the numeracy test. And I'm going to come up here and click on this button here called Switch to Graph View. And you can see how that animates that data based on the achievement band of the student. What I can also do is filter that for the middle achieving band, so ignoring the top end and the bottom end. We can see how that's reanimated, and what I can now do is zoom in. So what I'm looking at here is students in band 4, band 5, band 6 and band 7. So one of the applications I can see for this is, as a teacher, at the beginning of the year I can see the students in my class for the coming year and how they performed on their previous NAPLAN test. So what I can do is get on the front foot from day one and really start concentrating on improving the students' performance in particular areas to increase them up the bands towards the higher bands, so that as an overall improvement for my class I can affect that change. What I can do now is zoom in on some of the students of detail. Again, the faces are pixelated. I can click on a particular student, that will come up with some details on the right here, so I can see more details about the student. So their gender, their language background, indigeneity, parents' education and so forth. So again, starting at a high level, I can use the sorting and the filters here to really show this data in a brand new way, and I can see some really excellent applications for this particular technology, and that's certainly one of them there. So just to finish up now, I just wanted to go through one other tool which is being increasingly used in the education space, and that's the ability to mash up, if you like, data over a map. So what we're looking at here is NAPLAN performance overlaid on a map of the Brisbane area. So I can see red dots and green, again a simple example. So the red dots are the lower performing NAPLAN scores compared to the green dots, the higher performing scores. So this is test data again, but this could easily be student performance within a class, so depending on where the students live, how that's impacted on their NAPLAN performance, or it could be individual schools within the Brisbane area. So either way, again, nothing that can't be seen or produced as numbers on a page, but visualizing this data in a brand new way as a map-based geographical representation really brings data to new life in a new way. So hopefully that's given you a good feel for not only some of the Microsoft BI tools, but also some of the things happening in the education space today. So for more information or for an on-site demo at your school, feel free to contact StrataDB today. My contact details are on the screen there. And finally, thank you very much and have a great day.